Alright, let's talk about the most recent chapter of Blue Lock, and more importantly, about Reo and Henri, and why I feel like they are getting an insane amount of unnecessary hate. So let's just get into it. So in the recent chapter, we saw Nagi desperately trying to get his way back into Blue Lock. He even went so far as to put up his tent outside of Blue Lock, and pretty much harass them every day, which, don't get me wrong, shows an insane amount of dedication, so I really respect him for that. Anyway, now let's get into what a lot of people had problems with, and let's start with Reo. Now when Nagi tried to contact Reo and get him to connect him to Blue Lock again, he suddenly couldn't, as it said that he could no longer message this account. Now, firstly, I just want to point out that this could have just been Blue Lock, who had all of the survivors unable to message or come in contact with the eliminated players so that they wouldn't disturb their training, as we don't know if it was only Reo who Nagi couldn't contact, as we never saw him try contacting Isagi or Baru. However, for this argument, let's say that it was Reo who actively blocked Nagi from contacting him, then honestly, good for him. Firstly, we have to discuss the insane task Reo was given. He was assigned to study all of the other 22 players in the span of 14 days, so he probably didn't only block Nagi but everyone as well, as he needed to really lock in and focus on his task. Because I don't know how to really explain how tough this task is, but you probably understand how difficult it is. Also, let's not pretend that Nagi is some sort of angel either. He's been throwing Reo under the bus more times than you could count throughout the story of Blue Lock. However, when he gets the same treatment back, everyone overlooks what he has done himself. However, I don't want it to sound like I'm blaming Nagi for it, as it's exactly what he's been supposed to do. In Blue Lock, you need to put yourself first and find your ego. That's kind of the whole point of it. So when Nagi found his ego after the first selection, that was amazing, as it was exactly what he was supposed to do. Does that mean that what he did wasn't selfish and only for his own benefit? No, not at all. However, that's why I don't blame Reo, as he's just done this to try and focus on himself and do what Nagi legitimately told him to do, which was to become the world's best on his own, which is exactly what he's trying to do right now. And if he had to block Nagi in the process, that sucks. But it's still kind of what Nagi told him to do, not specifically to block him, but I'm sure you get my point. So when I see a lot of comments saying that they have lost respect for Reo for blocking Nagi, then I really find it hard to understand how that's possible. You also have to see it from the point of Reo. He found it more difficult about Nagi leaving than Nagi himself did in the end of the Neo-Egoist League. He broke down, had to endure the whole parade without him, looking super depressed and sad. Even after that, he was still thinking about Nagi all of the time. But once he got his task from Ego, everything changed, as he found something which could take away his thoughts for a couple of weeks. And if Nagi was going to come back into his life under his training period, then firstly, it would ruin Rio's focus, and it would be incredibly selfish. Even if some people don't want to admit it, Nagi has most of the time only used Reo when he has been needing something, whether it be winning against Isagi, surviving the Neo-Egoist League, which didn't go as planned, or now for him to contact Ego. I was honestly so mind-blown to see so much hate towards Reo when this chapter came out, because when I read it, I was super happy that Reo would get a ton of hype around him and that he's growing at his pace and by himself, but instead it was the opposite, which left me completely in awe. Nagi himself even realized that what he was doing was wrong, as he said that he once again tried to rely on Reo and called himself disgusting. I do think that it's super unfortunate the situation Nagi is in right now, so don't get me wrong, he finally found his ego and his fire. However, when he did, it was already too late, and he had already been eliminated, which is such a horrible timing, and I feel sorry for him because we can see how much he truly wants to come back into Blue Lock. However, he also has had the chance, but he threw it away in the Neo-Egoist League, and now that he's done, that's when he wants to try and really put in the effort, even though he knew that in Blue Lock, getting second chances are super unlikely to happen, with some exceptions of course. Anyway, now let's get over to the Henri segment of the video, and let's talk about that. After Nagi had tried to contact Reo, that's when Henri spoke up, telling Nagi that this was private property, and that if he were to stay here any longer, then it would be considered trespassing, and that she would call the police, telling him to please leave immediately, and that he is now an outsider who isn't connected to Blue Lock. And I don't see anything wrong with this at all. Some of you think that Henri should have let him and babysit him. Why would she even do that? Blue Lock isn't a place used to babysit teenagers. It's a place where they are supposed to create the best striker possible. Nagi wasn't good enough. That's the harsh but true reality of it all, and that's why he didn't make it. So now he's of no use to either Blue Lock, Henri and Ego, or even the other players. He himself even realized it, as he said that Henri was right, and he realized just what he was doing was stupid and wrong, wondering what he even expected would happen, and that they would just magically let him inside again. The biggest argument I have seen against Henri is people calling her a Nagi glazer and saying that her switch-up was insane, but I don't understand that either. Henri has only given Nagi and the other Blue Lock characters praise when they deserved it, and when Henri, like everyone says, glazed Nagi, then it was because he genuinely deserved it. Let's take the 5-stage volley goal, for example, where she was over the moon for that goal, like everyone else in the whole world. And that's because it truly was an insane goal that needed to be praised. Like, you have to give credit where credit is due. Just because you compliment something or say that something is good doesn't make you into a glazer, just an honest person. People also say that Henri could have been nicer, but like, I honestly don't see it. She even told him to please leave. Like, it wasn't like she said that the cops were on the way and that he needed to run to not get caught. The series Blue Lock as a whole isn't meant to be this sports and teammate manga where everyone wants the best for each other and tries to get through things together. In this manga, they put themselves first, which is why things might look harsh. But when looking deeper into it, then it's not really that bad. Nagi doesn't deserve the second chance, so he has no reason to be there begging for it. Even though I highly admire his determination, and that he tried to get himself back into the mix and didn't just stay at home and do nothing. But still, it's too late for him. Like he said himself, time has only stopped for him. Meanwhile, all of the others are working towards their goal at full speed, but he can't do anything and has to just be by the sidelines and wait. Now I just want to clarify that even though it might sound like it, I'm really not some sort of Nagi hater. I think that he's an okay character. He isn't someone that I love, and I don't know if he would fit into my top 10 characters. However, whenever he was on the screen before, I was always super hyped, as he was a character that could make the unimaginable, and I was always at the edge of my seat when he did something. I also think that his 5-stage volley goal is the best in the entire Neo Egoist League arc. I just had to say that, so that I don't get bombarded with comments telling me how much I hate Nagi and that I don't understand a thing. If I'm honest, then I'm quite worried as to what will happen to him, as in the same chapter we saw Buratsuta, the money-hungry gremlin, come behind him, and he will for sure try to do something for his own benefit and use Nagi. What he will do, I'm not so sure on right now. However, I know for sure that whatever he has in mind isn't for the sake of Nagi, but rather himself, and a way for his greedy little self to earn even more money, which, to be fair, the game is the game. However, Nagi is genuinely really hurt right now, and he is at his lowest point, so I feel like it will be easy for Buratsuta to take advantage of Nagi, as he will probably see Buratsuta as some sort of savior. Meanwhile, Buratsuta will only be using Nagi without him knowing. However, if you have any ideas as to what Buratsuta might be scheming, then please leave them down below. Anyway, I think that I got what I wanted to get across in this video. I wanted to get my thoughts on this whole situation out there and explain why I don't have any trouble with Reo and Anri not babysitting Nagi anymore. And I know that I might have been sounding a bit harsh on Nagi throughout this video. However, I really didn't mean to. Also, please let me know your take on all of this, as I want to know if I'm the odd one out on this one or not. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.